Welcome to this ATA Insights webinar. Thank you for your ongoing interest and support of our webinar program. Today's session will begin in 2 minutes. ATA Insights Webinars is an online platform for the dissemination of professional renewable energy knowledge across international borders. Our aim is to democratize access to information, for innovation to spread faster, and to make the industry more competitive. And we do this through our online sessions, open to all our members. Every year, we do more than 100 sessions with over 250 speakers, 50,000 attendees from more than 50 countries. To participate in the session today, use the chat on the right-hand side to introduce yourself, your company, and where you're joining from. Under the screen, you will find the Q&A box, where you can send your questions for the speakers. We will get to as many as we can today. We're recording this session, and we will send you a link to the materials in a few days. Please consider supporting our content creation for the webinar program. Contact us on the email on screen.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are connecting from. Welcome to this ATA Insights webinar on new opportunities for CSP on the China's net zero ambition. And well, today we'll have two experts on the concentrated solar power in China, Dr. Wang, who's the Deputy Director of the Renewable Research Center of China Electric Power Planning and Engineering Institute, and Mr. Johnny Liu from Cosin Solar. He's the Director of Overseas Business Development there. So, well, before we start, I'd like to let you know about a tradition we have at ATA Insights, and that is that we let people know where we are connecting from using the chat box. So yeah, I am actually connecting from Berlin, and I know that the other panelists like Johnny Liu and Mr. Wang are connecting from China. So let us know where you're connecting from using the chat function. And before you ask, if you're new, just know that yes, we are recording this session, and we'll send you the recording later on. So what we'll do next is that I will stop sharing my screen, and I will get each of the panelists to introduce himself briefly. And yeah, there we go. So let's start with Johnny Liu. Mr. Liu, could you please tell us briefly who you are and what you do?
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Yes, I'm Johnny Liu from Cosin Solar. 3 months ago, we changed our company name from Subcon Solar to Cosin Solar. I'm the Director of Overseas Business Development. Thank you very much to ATA for giving me this opportunity to share the information about the Chinese market.
Thank you very much, Johnny, for being with us today. And now, Mr. Wang, please, if you could introduce yourself briefly and then get ready to share your screen, because you'll be the first one to present.
Okay, hi, everybody. This is Mr. Wang speaking from Beijing. I have just sent a sentence in the chat box. China Electric Power Planning and Engineering Institute is a 100% state-owned research facility. We are mainly focused on the energy and electricity power planning and policy analysis, and including the 15th 5 years plan for the national energy and the national electric power, and the renewables, including the technologies, R&D, whatever. We love planning for the 5 years plan, but most of the time we can achieve most of the ambitious targeting. That's a basic introduction of my background and of course the facility.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wang. So whenever you are ready, please start sharing your screen and start your presentation. And for those of you who are perhaps not familiar with the way we run webinars, so today we'll have presentations first, and then we'll have a Q&A session. So please sharpen your pencils and send in your questions through the Q&A box later on. So whenever you're ready, Mr. Wang.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I can see your presentation.
Yeah.
You can put it on full screen.
Now is it okay?
Yeah,
okay.
It's perfect. Okay, over to you.
Okay. Totally, I have four parts to discuss with you, and okay, here's the contents. I divided these slides into 4 parts: the needs, the roles, the achievements, and the perspectives, and also some lessons learned from the last 10 years of the CSP project's development in China. Okay, is that okay for the first slide, the needs, with the picture of our president, chairman, Mr. Xi? Is that okay? As we all know, the party has announced a very large scale of renewables targets in the future, and which comes from so-called carbon peak and carbon neutralization strategy. Now I have 4 targets on this slide. The first 3 is already set up by the published documents, and the last one, I mean the target for the year 2060, is only one scenarios from the different facilities research reports. Mostly, I mean the scholars and the facilities, we have reached a common sense that will be about 80% of the energy comes from the non-fossil energy. Only this way could satisfy with the carbon neutralization strategy. This is a basic background. But if we can look back to the different years, I mean, for instance, year 2025 and year 2030, according to the technical standards now in China, I mean, the technical standards for the electrical power system operation, and including the large thermal power plants. That technical standards requires about 50% of the capacity should be how to say it, dispatched by the dispatch center of the grid company. And if we wanted to lower the power generation from the coal power plants, we need some other new technical standards. That means in the year 2025, we may use out of all the capabilities now according to the existing technical standards. And then if we look at the year 2030, we may even use out all of the capability of the coal power plants. I mean, maybe the coal-fired power plants have to decrease their power generation to maybe 10 or 20% of their nameplate capacity to make the grid absorb, or in another way, to a very high renewable energy penetration in the grid. So in the year 2025 and 2030, so we face these two different scenarios. That means we have to make the full use of the coal power plants. But afterwards, what should we do? Okay, this is the next slide. From the grid point of view, the stability is the most important thing in a synchronized grid. And what we most concentrate, the first one is a peaking capability, and the other one is inertia. It's just a very rough estimation. We know there are around 1.5 tegawatts of installed regulatable power plants, including the coal-fired power plants and the hydropower. I mean, very large hydropower with a very, very large reservoir. If they could provide 40% to 50% of the ramping capacity, that means totally they could provide around 600 gigawatts of the penetration room. And when we considering the spatial and the time compromise of the photovoltaic and the wind, it can satisfy with 1 to 1.5 tegawatts of the wind or PV for their generation, I mean, for their construction. But after that, we need some new peaking capability. Most of the facilities and some of the scholars, even the students, they try to believe that the lithium battery could be a very good, very good solution for it. Of course, from the energy point of view, that is right. But on the other point of view, as a synchronized system, we still need a large amount of inertia, which the lithium battery cannot provide. Or we can say they cannot provide the short current currents in a weak place. So that means we have the solutions only as like the slides. The first one is a pump storage hydropower, and the second one is the CSP. Just 2 or 3 months ago, the government has announced the new pump storage hydropower plan for the next 5 to 10 years. And as far as we could remember, there should be 100 gigawatts of the new pump storage hydropower plants. Now it's around 35 gigawatts of the pump storage hydropower in China. So that means we will have 135 gigawatts of hydropower plants 10 years later. Okay, this is from the hydropower point of view, but on the other hand, what will be the best place for the pump storage hydropower? There are 2 different opinions. One is mostly that the pump storage should be located at the load center, means in the southeast part of China, where we have a prosperous economy. And some other scholars also provide their opinion that we should also install some large pump storage at the northwest part of China, where we can combine the different kind of energies to transmit it to the load center in the east or in the south. But we know in north or west part of China, especially in the Gobi Desert, we are in short of water, so that the CSP would be one of the key solution for it. Yes, okay, now we move to the second part, the roads. Before the year 2010, the Chinese government mostly only give some money or put some money into the R&D projects in the Badaling demonstration projects, which launched by the Ministry of Science and Technology. And the year 2010, the first CSP concession project in Mongolia was launched. At that time, a German company called Solar Millennium Company that is a German company. They did a very an excellent job to provide the resource assessments, etc., to provide such a technical basis for bidding. But unfortunately, that project didn't finish because of a very low price. As far as I know, that project it has 1993 Chinese cents per kilowatt hour. That's very low. And in the year 2016 to 2017, we have a new idea that's not an auction, a bidding. It's no auction or no bidding. We call this the best batch solution. That means we ask the different provinces in China to send their best CSP projects. Totally 119 projects were sent to the central governments, and we evaluate all of them mostly based on the capability of the company, the developer, and the price requirements, and the technical backgrounds, and the key technical parameters, which one is better. So from these 4 key elements, we evaluate all of the projects and picked out 20 projects. We could say the best of the best, and they have the same price. So this is another way to give the projects to the developer in a competitive way. And in the year 2021, some of the more commercial projects and with a system value launched, which I will show later. Okay, the third part, the achievements. Here is a map of China. As we can see, and here my mouse is on the picture. This part of China is a load center, and most of the solar energy located here. So we need to transmit the power from this part of China to this part of China. And due to the resource, most of the projects located at here, the Xinjiang autonomous region, Xinjiang Uyghur autonomous region, and Qinghai province, and Gansu, and in Mongolia. These 4 provinces have a large amounts land resource, and they're also rich in solar resources. So most of the projects located here in these 4 projects. And the latest version, we have 500 megawatts of the CSP projects have completely installed, and another 50 megawatts to 100 megawatts of the CSP projects is still in construction in here in Gansu province. And in those projects, we have 300 tower projects and 150 megawatts of parabolic trough and Fresnel projects 50 megawatts. Okay, the next slides we are going to concentrate on the perspectives. There are two ways or commercial ways for us to launch a new CSP project. The first one, what we call the integration demonstration. This document was issued this week, I mean, maybe 3 or 4 days ago, from the NEA, the National Energy Administration. This document, I mean, this government document asks for the different provinces to make their own demonstration. The demonstration projects typically in 2 ways. First way is what we call power grid storage and load integration. If any project can have a very good compromise with the local grid and even the load company, they could summarize those different company as a unique one. In such a project, the renewable energy will be the base load provider, and for the wind and the PV, because of their vibration, they need some new stable power plant to support. So in such a policy, we know a new 600 megawatts of CSP projects has launched based on such a policy. Okay, I mean, this is one way for the power grid storage and load. This is one way, mostly with the local grid and the local loads. Another way for the integration demonstration, what we call hybrid projects, which mostly only combine the different generation power together for their transmission to some other place to the load center. This is another way. Of course, in the new what we call ultra high AC or ultra high DC, there are new transmission lines. So we also want to put some CSP projects into such an integration demonstration projects. Okay, this is a first way. And the second way is the electric power markets. You know, only one province in China, that's the Shanxi province in China, has sports markets. All the other provinces, they only have financial markets. But anyway, in the 14th 5 years plan 10, I mean from year 2021 to year 2025, most of the provinces, they will have their spot markets. And that's a brand new chance for the CSP projects, because the spot market and they also include ancillary service. That means not only the power itself, but also the grid needs the capability for stability. And that could be one of the key strengths of the CSP project. So as the research from our facility, from my facility, most of the north or western part of China, those provinces, they are in short of the balance capacity and will be in short of the inertia of the grid. And if we have the financial market and the stock markets combined together in those provinces, and that province is also linked with the provinces in the eastern part of China with UVDC or UVAC. There will be a very good chance or opportunity for the CSP, especially for a large amount of CSP, to participate. So this, I mean, this is a second chance. It will be sure, I mean, from next year or the year 2023, that will be okay. I think in the maybe in 1 or 2 years. Based on those two different solution ways, the good news is the latest 1 gigawatt of CSP is already on the track. In Qinghai, in Gansu, and in Jilin, these 3 provinces. But what I think we still hope the new CSP projects could show their own or more commercial value. You know, the latest 1 gigawatt of CSP mostly come from the government's demands. From the government's point of view, they require some CSP for their local grid. But if we base on the real market, we hope the CSP could show their more commercial value even from the grid point of view, and even in the economic point of view. And if we could install some CSP in a more large amount of capacity, for instance, maybe from at least 500 megawatts in the same place, that will be very good for the CSP's value and also for the industry. I think that's is also the one of the targets of what we are aiming for. Okay, I think the time for me is okay, just right on time. Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're just right on time. Thank you very much, Mr. Wang, for your presentation. I think, you know, we have a few questions related to it, because, you know, what you mentioned is very interesting. There is a transition now in China towards, you know, a different kind of electric market. And in the questions, you know, I'd like to ask you why that opens up opportunities for CSP. But first, we'll have the presentation by Mr. Johnny Liu. So, Johnny, whenever you are ready, please go ahead, share your screen, and start presenting.
Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it, and yeah, over to you.
Okay, so today I would like to talk accelerating carbon neutrality by CSP. It has 4 parts. The first part is who we are. Cosine Solar, previously named Sukang Solar, we are a technology provider for tower CSP. We can provide the hardware and the software for the solar field receiver, and we can do the development, investment, engineering, and the EPC management and the O&M for a tower CSP project. And we constructed the first CSP in China in commercial operation 7 years ago. And also we have another 2 50 megawatt CSP project reference. And out of China in 2019, together with CGGC, we signed an EPC project for Minus 50 megawatts CSP project in Greece, still in the progress of financing. For our Delingha 50 megawatt CSP, here shows the first yearly performance report. And achievement rate is 94.35%, which is one of the highest performance among all the CSP plants in the world. Yes, we think from the feasibility study to the basic engineering, detailed engineering, also the equipment selection, to the construction, and also operation period. There are a lot of work to do. The second part is the renewable energy development in China. As Mr. Wang has mentioned, China has announced our double carbon goals, and we aims to build a new power system based on renewable energy. So what will be a new power system? I have a more optimistic numbers than Mr. Wang. After 2030, the PV and wind will be almost half of the system, but the system should also be safe, dispatchable, efficient. So what will it bring? We think the system cost will increase rapidly. Take the PV project, for example. This picture shows the dumped ratio in June 2021. The Qinghai province has the highest number, 11.7%. Why? In Qinghai province, now there are 15.8 gigawatt PV, which is the number one power in Qinghai province. But the local maximum load is 10.51 gigawatt. So the PV capacity is more than the maximum load. We are constructing some ultra high voltage transmission line to transfer the energy, the PV wind, from Qinghai to the middle of China, to the east of China. But there are insufficient peak regulation. So a lot of energy are wasted. So in the future, a large-scale long-term storage are necessary. So to summarize, we think the PV total cost equals to the LCOE plus the system cost plus the storage cost. And in the future, the cost for sure will increase, and the electricity price will also go up. The third part about the CSP and other storage solutions. First is the coal-fired power plant for the peak regulation. In China now we have 1,200 gigawatts coal-fired plant can consume 600 gigawatt renewable energy. If we update the coal-fired plant to lower the minimum load to 30%, and we can consume 240 gigawatt more. And if we lower it to 10%, can consume 480 gigawatt more. This kind of upgrade work has low investment, but for sure it's only a short-term choice. For pumped storage, this technology is very mature, but the cost is very high for the investment and also for the storage LCOE. What's the meaning of storage LCOE? Actually, it's to move 1 kilowatt hour electricity from one time to another time, like to move it from the day to the night. And pump storage also needs a long construction time, 7 to 8 years. And also it's difficult to find a suitable place to construct it. For battery, the storage LCOE is also expensive, and every 8 years it should be replaced. And the environmental problems after decommissioning and also the safety issues still needs to be solved in the future. So what about the CSP? Here shows some advantages in terms of carbon emission. CSP is much lower than other technology, especially for tower CSP. is only 15.3 gram CO2 per kilowatt hour. And also it's very cheap for storage, less than half compared to the battery. And the CSP has a deep load change range from 15% to 10%, and also a high ramp up rate and a ramp down rate to be a very good dispatchable power. So the CSP actually can hybrid with PV to have a very good integrated LCOE. For Cosine Solar, we have several projects under development. I put it on the screen, and the graph is a typical running model for the hybridization of CSP and the PV. The CSP capacity is 15% of PV by 4 hours. And the CSP works at full load in the night peak hours. And during the day, when the PV generates, CSP will lower the load to the minimum level. And the scenario 2, which we think is more useful for our power system, we call it a hybrid storage plant. It has 3 energy resources from CSP, from electrical heater, or from natural gas. And we store the energy in the molten salt storage system. Take one example. If the charging power is 800 megawatts and with 4.8 hours, it can save 3.24 gigawatts dumped PV energy, and also can help to build a new 6.4 gigawatt PV plant. Here are some basic data for this hybrid storage plant. The system efficiency, according to our calculation, is more than 87%, higher than the pumped storage and also battery. For the financial part, the LCOE is 104 US dollar per megawatt hour, and also requires a lower capacity payment. It's around 90. Here are the operation models in the different weathers. In the sunny day, you can see the CSP mainly works in the night peak hours and the morning peak hours, and the PV energy in the daytime will be stored in the molten salt by the electrical heater. And the second one is some cloudy day. The sun result change very frequently, and we use some part of the gas and also electrical heater. And if it's a rainy day, the weather is very difficult. So some this is some extra cases, we can mainly use the natural gas to heat the molten salt and to keep the plant run in the night hours. This is an economical comparison. The hybrid storage plant has the lowest leverage cost, and also the lowest capacity. The technical part, the hybrid storage has a a lot of advantages in terms of service life, construction period, the topography requirements, the land occupation safety. And also, it can provide the rotary inertia and the reactive power to the system. This is very important. And it's environmental friendly and can also provide the peak regulation, frequency regulation. What is regulation? And it can do the black startup. And in the extreme weather, yes, we can use natural gas actually with a very low cost. So in the future, yeah, we think the CSP and PV will be a very good partner to do the hybridization, either for hybridization power plant or storage plant to provide a 24/7 cheap, stable, clean energy. This kind of model is not only a good model in China, but also globally. It will be one of the ultimate solution for the energy transition. So to conclude, in the future, we think the large amount of storage must be deployed, and all the storage technology are expensive, but relatively CSP can be a large scale, long time, low cost, safe and clean. With more CSP project to be developed in China, in the world, yes, we expect the LCOE will be quickly reduced. After 10 years, it could be 50 less than now. And also the CSP can help the power system to consume more PV and wind. Okay, that's all my presentation. I'm available for some questions.
Thank you very much, Johnny, for your presentation. I think both you and Mr. Wang actually could see that you made an effort, to present detailed information and things that that I'm fairly sure that not many people in the audience knew about. So if you could stop sharing now, Johnny, so we can start the discussion and they can see us. So I see a number of questions here. So I don't know where you have your options to stop sharing, but mine are at the normally at the top. There is a red button that says stop sharing.
Okay.
There
Okay.
Perfect. All right.
Yeah, I found it.
No problem. So I think it'd be good to actually answer the questions that the audience has sent through, and I think the audience is very much engaged. So we have let's answer the first question, which Mr. Wang indicated that he would like to answer, and it says it's by Sohaila Setayesh, and it says, I see different CSP technologies. Does China have a preference among those technologies? If yes, why?
I do not think we have a preference of technology. We believe in technology neutrality. We only describe what we need from the grid point of view, for instance, for the ramping rate, for the minimum load, and then the lowest cost wins the project. So we do not choose the technologies.
Great, thank you very much, Mr. Wang. And there is a second question, which I think is a question that is in a lot of people's minds. So, what's the target non-subsidized LCOE of new CSP projects now in China? Then maybe Johnny, you could have a first try at answering this this question. What do you think could be the LCOE of a new CSP project in China?
Yes, for the first batch of China CSP demonstration project, feed-in tariff is around 16 cent, or we see 160 US dollar per megawatt hour. That is a price for 4 years, 5 years ago. Now some new CSP plants are being developed and with a larger scale. So we think it can be 15% less than that. So now it's around only for a CSP plant. Now we can see around 140 like that. But now we are promoting the CSP plus PV hybridization plant. The LCOE will be much competitive.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Mr. Wang, I don't know if you'd like to add to this.
I mean, I think now we do not have a very clear target of the non-subsidized LCOE for single new CSP projects, but mostly we concentrate on the hybrid LCOE, maybe not only for the CSP and the PV and even wind and something else, I think. Yeah.
Maybe let me add something here. I don't want to confuse all the listeners.
Yeah.
But in China, the DNI is not as good as other places. The DNI is around 2,000, and also we have a lot of non-technical costs, some land costs, and also the finance cost is different. So it's only for China. I think out of China, in some place with a very good DNI, the LCOE of CSP has already been very competitive.
Yes, I think that the lowest we have seen of a project that is getting built is around 7 cents per kilowatt hour in the UAE, right? And in Chile also, well, even around half that. But that one, was not selected. But yeah, it's interesting. And also, I'd like to ask you. So, now that I've here, CSP expert and also Mr. Wang, you seem to know a lot about power grids. And is LCOE the best way to measure a technology, the value of a technology like CSP? Because I think LCOE only measures, well, the lifetime costs. But, I saw in your graph that you're looking at things like security, dispatchability. So, are those things, I know that those things are harder to put a value on, but how is the market going to value those services that technologies like CSP could offer? I know it's not an easy question, but you mentioned now there will be the market design has changed, right? And or is about to change. And you mentioned that could open up opportunities for ancillary services, for things like and for technologies such as CSP. So why is that the case?
Frankly, we could only take some examples. For instance, in the northwest part of China, we have temporary ancillary service markets. In that market, the price of the electricity power storage is between 50 to 70 Chinese RMB cents per kilowatt hour. So if we add this price into the CSP cost, I think that the CSP projects could get their profits from the future markets, but the price comes from the demand side of the market. It's not fixed feed-in tariff like the wind and the PV. It has some large amount of uncertainty. I think the only example now in China.
Yeah.
Johnny, I don't know if you'd like to add.
Yes, and in my presentation, yes, actually I think it's a common understanding globally. The system cost is not the LCOE. So when we talk CSP, it's a grid-friendly technology. Also on my presentation, like the PV cost is the LCOE plus the system cost plus the storage cost. So we have to think the whole picture, and not only talk about the LCOE. Yeah.
Right. And I think there is a question here, which I think is very good. It's by Robert Lubbrand from Man, and he asks, he talks about the example of Germany. He says in Germany, if renewable energy is curtailed, so if you need to spill it, for lack of a better word, the producers are compensated for their loss. So there is really no incentive for them to invest in long-term or long-duration energy storage. What's the situation in China? What are the plans to? Is it similar to Germany, or is there a plan to actually, put in place some kind of market signal to avoid, dump solar power?
In China, there's no such a compensate mechanism. That means if the wind power or the solar power is curtailed, they will get no subsidy.
Okay, so well, that's it. That's your answer, Robert. Is an entirely different situation, and it should encourage more storage, I would think. Right. So there are also a few more questions here that I think are interesting. So okay. So there is a question here which I think you'll be able to answer very easily, but which I think is it will be of value to a lot of viewers. So someone is asking how have the you mentioned in your presentations we're on track, or, in China you are on track for 1 gigawatt of CSP technology deployed, and someone asked who is financing these projects, how does it work? And I think the short answer is that they are part of a government program and they get a feed-in tariff, right? But maybe you could elaborate on this.
Sorry, Franklin. I think this latest 1 gigawatts of the new CSP projects. Why they could launch these new projects are the government demands, but the government will not subsidize those CSP projects. They say these CSP projects only get their profits combined with a different with the PV projects and with the wind. We have statistics that 60% of this new CSP combined with PV, and the other 40% combined with the PV and the wind. So they are totally considered as a unique hybrid project.
Okay. And talking about capacity, I read somewhere that China wants to get to, and correct me if I'm wrong, to 1,200 gigawatts of solar and wind by 2030. and that's obviously a huge number and a huge amount of intermittent energy to go into the system. So my questions are in that kind of grid, wouldn't you have a lot of curtailment, and could CSP help a grid that is dominated by PV and wind function better?
I think that's a
don't know.
good question for
Yes,
Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny. Yeah, I think that's one for you.
Yes, for sure. Yes, the CSP will help very much to consume the more new added PV and the wind. Actually, not only for 2030. I think for now already it's a big issue for some local power grid, and yes, the peak regulation ability is not sufficient. So we need more storage. Not only CSP actually, the up storage, battery, the CSP, they all have their role in the power system. But CSP has its own advantages, and yes, we believe more CSP. And there are different predictions for the CSP by 2030 in China. Someone estimated it's around 100 gigawatt, but yeah, we will see. It depends on the policy, the performance of the current CSP, and also the cost reduction, many factors. Mm-hmm.
And now that you mentioned the performance, someone asked whether there is any information on the first batch of demonstration projects on the performance and how things have gone. Is that available, or is that something that is kept within the companies that perform the demonstration projects?
Yeah, for Cosine Solar, we published our performance data from time to time. In my presentation, it shows the first yearly report. It's more than 94%. And some other CSP plants, tower CSP, parabolic trough CSP, for now is also working nicely in China. So we think CSP technology is also mature and reliable technology now. And for the new CSP, within that 1 gigawatt, we think the performance will be much better. And our target is to try to reach even higher performance rate after the COD.
Great. Well, I just want to let you know that we have a couple of minutes left. So, we're coming towards the end of the webinar, and I just wanted to ask you whether you have, any parting words for the audience, anything you'd like to highlight. I know there are some questions left. I will send them to you, and then if you have time, you can answer these questions directly. I think some of them are, about the slide information that is on the slides and things that I think might be better answered in writing. But yeah, and to all of you who are there at the audience, we will send you the recording and the slides as well, so you'll be able to see them. So anything you'd like to highlight as parting words for the audience? Maybe we'll start with Mr. Wang.
Maybe only one sentence, as there are unclear opportunity in front of us, and welcome. That's all.
Thank you. And Johnny, any parting words for the audience?
Yes, today the time is short. We can't elaborate on all the details. Actually, from the industry company point of view, yes, we welcome all the listeners, the partners, friends to approach us after the meeting to talk more cooperation. Also, we can work together for the global CSP industry to promote it to a better level.
Thank you very much to everybody at the audience who's been with us, and thank you very much, Mr. Wang and Mr. Liu. I think China is definitely the market where we'll probably see some of the most interesting innovations on CSP coming along, and some may say that it's even the future of the CSP industry. So with all of the huge changes that are happening across China, trying to decarbonize a country that relies so heavily on coal. Now I think, I hope to see a lot more interesting solutions, one of which will be CSP. So, thank you very much, Mr. Liu, Mr. Wang, and everyone at the audience. We'll send you the recording and see you here next time.